Hey, Shalom Akim. Giving all praises, honor, and glorification to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kodash. The belongs to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect. This is the book of Nahum, chapter 1 and verse 3. The Lord, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord has his way in the whirlwind, and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. Okay? The Lord is slow to anger and great in power and will not at all acquit the wicked. Let's look up the definition of the word acquit. Acquit means to free someone from a criminal charge by a verdict of not guilty. Okay? Conduct oneself and perform. So it says to absolve, to clear, exonerate. Alright, so the Lord will not clear the wicked for his deeds. Who's the wicked? Let's turn to the book of Malachi. Chapter 1 and verse 4. It says, let me start at verse 3. And I hated Esau laid his mountain and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. Okay, so Esau, Edom will build, but the Lord will throw down, and they shall be called the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. Okay, so Esau, Edom is the wicked. He is the border of wickedness. All right, and who are the Edomites? The Edomites is the nation that calls themselves the white people. All right, the self-proclaimed white people are the Edomites. All right, and as we read in the book of Nahum 1 and 3, the Lord will not acquit the wicked, means he will not exonerate him for his criminal activities. Okay, let's play this video.
The giving of the headdress is honoring a man as the honorary chief and leader in a community. And so in doing that, he's actually adopted him into as one of our leaders in the community. And so it's an honorary, it's an honoring of the man. It's an honoring of the work that he has done. And it also is recognizing from the community that here is a man that belongs into our tribe.
Which is completely off. All right, here it is. The Pope is the head of the so-called church, the Catholic Church, which are responsible or played a part in the residential schools that were in North America, where they said I believe 100, over 150 children were basically kidnapped from their home and forced into these schools. All right, and here it is, they're honoring him with a headdress. All right. Quick preset, man. All right, please. As I mentioned, the Catholic Church played a part in these residential school, the residential school system, which was in America, North America. So let's read a bit on it. It says, Canadian Indian residential school system. In Canada, the Indian residential school system was a network of boarding schools for Indigenous peoples. Attendance, attendance was mandatory from 1894 to 1947. Okay, the network was funded by the Canadian government, Department of Indian Affairs, and administered by Christian churches. Okay, the school system was created to isolate Indigenous children from the influence of their own native culture and religion in order to assimilate them into the dominant Canadian culture. Read that again. The school system was created to isolate Indigenous children from the influence of their own native culture and religion in order to assimilate them into the dominant Canadian culture. And it says that attendance was mandatory, okay, from 1894 to 1947. Over the course of the system's more than 100-year existence, around 150,000 children were placed in residential schools nationally. By the 1930s, about 30% of Indigenous children were believed to be attending residential schools. The number of school-related deaths remain unknown due to incomplete records. Estimates range from 3,200 to over 30,000. See, there's no, they haven't said anything good about these schools, man. First thing they say is that it was mandatory, okay, and then they say that it was to assimilate the indigenous into Canadian culture, so that they could forsake their own native culture. All right, and and finally it says that an estimate range from 3,200 to over 30,000 deaths. Okay, so going back to the precept we read in the book of Nahum 1 and 3, the Lord is slow to anger and great in power and will not at all acquit the wicked, okay, to exonerate of criminal charge. What we just read right here is kidnapping, man. Okay, they were forced into these, what you could call concentration camps, man. Okay, let's go to Exodus. We just Exodus 21 and verse 16. It reads, "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." All right, so they stole these children and forced them to attend those boarding schools. Okay, and it's documented the amount of atrocities that they were doing in there. Okay, those so-called priests, those Catholic priests and the nuns, what they were doing to the children, such as there's numerous accounts of pedophilia, okay, physical and sexual abuse. You know what? Let's read. Let's read. It says, let me jump to the. Let me start off with slightly. Let's start right here. The schools were intentionally located at substantial distances from indigenous communities to minimize contact between families and their children. Indian Commissioner Hector Reed argued for schools at greater distance to reduce family visits, which he thought counteracted efforts to assimilate indigenous children. Parental visits were further restricted by the use of a pass system designed to confine indigenous peoples to reserves. Okay, that's where they forced the Gadites. Okay, the true nationality of the Native Americans is they're of the tribe of Gad. Okay, of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Okay, so they forced them into reserves after they took their land. Okay, they pushed them into reserves. Okay, they stole the land of the Israelites. Okay, give them all kinds of diseases, broke every alliances that they made with them. created a massive genocide, and then the remnant they just pushed them into the reserves, okay, and then they took their children. Reading on the last federally, so these are criminal acts, okay, these are criminal acts of the Edomites, the so-called white people. It says the last federally funded residential school, Kivali Hall in Rankin Inlet, closed in 1997, which is less than 30 years ago. Okay, okay. It says schools operated in every province and territory with the exception of New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island. The residential school system harmed indigenous children significantly by removing them from their families, kidnapping, okay, depriving them of their ancestral languages and exposing many of them to physical and sexual abuse. Students were also subjected to forced enfranchisement as assimilated citizens that removed their legal identity as Indians. Disconnected from their families and culture and forced to speak English or French, students who attended the residential school system often graduated being unable to fit into their communities but remaining subject to racist attitudes in mainstream Canadian society. You see that? So not only you can't fit in your own community, and you're still subject to white supremacy. You know, you're still subject to racism. Okay, so Esau is just Esau Edom. That's what we call Esau Edom, the devil. Okay, the system ultimately proved successful in disrupting the transmission of indigenous practices and beliefs across generations. Micah 2 and 10. Micah 2 and 2. So Micah chapter 2 and verse 2. Let's read that. And they cover fields. You know, I'm sorry, 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity, the Edomites, okay, and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice in it because it is in the power of their hand. Here it is. They, well, the scriptures tell you that they have the whole world in in their hands. The earth is given to the hands of the wicked. Okay, so they're really at rest right now. Okay, but though they're at rest, they practice iniquity. They keep afflicting the poor. Okay, because it is in the power of their head. The Lord says, "Woe unto them," meaning destruction unto them. Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence. Right? So they covet, they said they desire the land and they, they use the sword. They use the sword to inquire it, man. Okay? And they covet fields and take them by violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Okay, so that's what they did, man. Okay, they oppressed a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Okay, the scriptures tell you not to remove the ancient landmark. Okay, but Esau does not comply to the law, statutes, and commandment of Yahweh Shemashah. Therefore, he's going to be judged according to his deeds, man. Okay, he's going to be judged according to the law, regardless. Okay, harshly. All right, so it says here the system ultimately proved successful in disrupting the transmission of indigenous practices and beliefs across generations. The legacy of the system has been linked to an increased prevalence of post-traumatic stress, alcoholism, substance abuse, suicide, and intergenerational trauma, which persists within indigenous communities today. Okay, so Esau Edom is responsible for the post-traumatic stress that the Gadites are suffering from the alcohol problem that they're suffering from, the substance abuse, the suicide toll. They're responsible for these things, man. Okay? Though we know it all goes back to the curses, okay, due to our disobedience, but the scripture says what? in the book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased with the Israelites, and they helped for the affliction. Okay? So because Esau has shown no pity, therefore no mercy is going to be shown unto him. Okay? The Lord will in no wise acquit the wicked. Alright? Though the Pope came, he came to Canada, he apologized, so-called apologized to the Gadites. The Lord will not acquit the wicked man. Okay? Scriptures tell you that it is a righteous thing with the Lord to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. Okay? This is Amos 1 and 11. Thus saith Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Okay? He kept his wrath forever, he didn't show no pity. Therefore, scriptures tell you that the Lord will have judgment without mercy to them that have shown no mercy. Let's get that. This is James 2:13. For he shall have judgment without mercy that has shown no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. Alright? So it's numerous accounts of sexual abuse and physical abuse that was done in these residential schools, and you can read upon it, Um, the other point I wanted to make is the scriptures tell you never to trust your enemy. Okay, who is the enemy? All the other nations are enemies to the Israelites. Read Psalms 80. Okay, but it starts with the Edomites. Okay, the so-called white people are the top enemy of the nation of Israel and of the Most High. This is Sirach 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away. So it says, though he humble himself. Okay, so you see how the Pope he made an apology. He humbled himself. It says, take good heed, man. Okay. Okay. There's no rehabilitating these Edomites. Okay. The Lord programmed them to be the evil, the wicked. This is Psalm 55 and verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. Right? Because the Gadites welcomed these Edomites when they came into North America. He welcomed them with open hands. Okay, traded with them, gave them some of our resources. And here it is. It says here, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Okay? So what these Edomites have in their heart is is uh is war. Okay? They only seek to shed blood. Okay? And for that reason, The Lord said that blood was going to pursue them. Okay? The Lord will in no wise acquit the wicked. All the blood of the children that they shed, they're going to have to answer for that, man. Okay? Um, Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. Okay? The scripture says that the Lord requires that which is past. Okay? This is Ezekiel 35 and verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood. Who's the Lord speaking to? Speaking to the Edomites. Okay, we read the second verse. It says, set thy face against Mount Seir, which is the government of basically the government of the Edomites. Okay, all right. It says, therefore, as verse 6, therefore, as I live, said the Lord Yahweh, Bashim, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. All right, blood is going to pursue these devils. Okay. All right, the Lord is going to make sure that they pay for their crimes. The Lord will in no wise acquit the wicked. Okay, this is Numbers 35 and verse 33. It reads, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So the only way that the land can be cleansed of the blood that they shed, that was shed, is for the blood of him that shed it to be shed. Okay, that's why the scriptures tell you, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the world, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Isaiah 14 and 21. Okay, all right, we said prepare slaughter. You read some of these comments in the YouTube, those YouTube videos. You have people saying that they hope that this apology is going to solve the problem, or that okay, hopefully they can move on, this and that. No, okay, the Lord will in no wise acquit the wicked. All right, the Lord has prepared a slaughter for His children, the iniquity of their fathers. Okay, you have people saying, there's no way we can bring back those that that killed them, so on and so forth. Well, let's go to Job 21, verse 19. Job 21 and 19. The Most High Yahweh Bashim shall layeth up his iniquity for his children. He rewardeth them, and he shall know. So the Lord's going to reward them for their deeds. Okay? Okay? Blood is going to pursue them. Alright? Let's finish off with Proverbs. Proverbs 11 and verse 21. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Alright, so we can put all the headdress on his head. Okay?
It's an honoring of work.
Apology, because truth be told, man, these people, if they're not Edomites, okay, because you got a lot of terrorists, okay, amongst the Gadites. You got some terrorists for sure, okay. If they're Israelites, if they're real true Gadites, they should be ashamed, man. Okay, all right. After all these the crimes, the atrocities, the trauma that they inflicted upon the Israelites, you shouldn't be clapping your hands at this guy's apology, man. Okay, you shouldn't be accepting bribes from these devils, because I believe bribes were done. Okay, scriptures tell you that a gift destroyed the heart. Man. Why would you give him a headdress which is representative of of a superior in the native community? You know, the scriptures tell you that's why the scripture says that the children of Israel is Sodom's children. They have not known him. Here it is, you were wronged, you were wronged greatly, and you're seeking to shake hands with the devil. You're seeking to please the devil while he's still proud.
That he has done, and it also is recognizing from the community that here is a man that belongs into our tribe.
Read that again. Proverbs 11:21. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. That's what I'm going to end off by giving all praises, honor, and glorification to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kodesh. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the elect.